I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Alright guys, so I have been wanting to make this video for a while now. Not gonna lie, I sat on this topic for like 2 months just thinking about how I wanted to say it. Because I see so many people in their 20s, including some of my own friends, just completely lost when it comes to money. And I get it, man, I was there too. I was the guy at 22 years old with a negative bank account checking my credit score like it was a horror movie. So I want to break down what I truly believe are the 3 most important financial priorities for anyone in their 20s. And I am not talking about some get-rich-quick nonsense or some crypto moonshot. I am talking about real stuff that actually works. Stuff that I have personally done and seen work in my own life. I went from being broke and in debt at 22 to now at 27, having over 200K in my 401K, a solid emergency fund, and a career that pays me well. And I am not special, man. I did not come from money. My parents are regular middle-class people. I didn't get a fancy finance job out of college. I worked my way up, so if I can do this, you can too. Let us get into it. The first priority, and the one I think people sleep on the most, is building a real emergency fund. Now, I know you've heard this before. Every finance YouTuber talks about emergency funds, but let me tell you why this matters more than anything else, especially in your 20s. When I was 22, I got hit with a surprise expense. My car broke down, transmission went out, cost me like $3,000 to fix, and I did not have that money. I had to put it on a credit card, and I was already carrying a balance. That one problem turned into 6 months of financial stress. I was paying minimum payments, watching interest pile up, feeling like I was drowning, and the worst part was I could have avoided the whole thing if I just had some cash set aside. That is what an emergency fund does for you. It takes small problems and keeps them small. Without it, a $500 problem becomes a $2,000 problem. Real quick, because you are borrowing money, paying interest, and stressing yourself out. So what exactly is an emergency fund? It is just cash, man, plain and simple cash, sitting in a high-yield savings account that you do not touch unless something bad happens. And here's why I say high-yield savings account, specifically because right now you can get around 3.5 to 4% API on your cash. Your regular bank is probably giving you like 0.01%. That is a joke. You are losing money to inflation by leaving it in a regular checking account. So open a high-yield savings account with someone like Marcus Ally or SoFi. There is a ton of options out there. Do your research, but just pick one and start putting money in it. How much should you have in there? I've heard people say 3 to 6 months of expenses, and that is fine. That is good advice. But I personally like to keep 6 to 12 months. Call me paranoid, but I sleep better at night knowing that if I lose my job tomorrow, I am not going to be homeless. I have enough cash to cover my rent, my food, my bills for almost a year. That peace of mind is worth more than any investment return you could chase. Think about it this way. If you have a 6-month emergency fund, you can take risks. You can negotiate for a raise, you can quit a job you hate, you can start a business, you have options. If you have no emergency fund, you are trapped. You have to take whatever comes your way because you can afford to say no. That is a terrible way to live in your 20s. And here's a football analogy for the guys who watch sports. Having an emergency fund is like having a lockdown cornerback on your team. You know that no matter what gets thrown at you, someone is back there to defend the play. That is your emergency fund. It is your Reva's Island. It is your Jalen Ramsey. Build that thing up strong. And don't let anyone tell you it is a waste of money. It is not. It is the foundation of everything else you are going to build. So number 1 is the emergency fund. Get that locked in first before you do anything else, before you start investing, before you buy a new car, before you take that vacation. Get your cash cushion first. I cannot stress this enough. Now, priority number 2, and this is the one that people in their 20s hate hearing about investing. In retirement accounts, I know. Retirement sounds boring. It sounds like something your dad talks about. It sounds like a problem for future you. And when you are 25 years old, 40 years from now feels like another lifetime. I get it. I felt the same way when I first started contributing to my 401k at 23. I remember looking at my paycheck and seeing that money come out and thinking, what am I doing? I could use this money right now. I could go out to eat. I could buy new clothes. I could take a trip. Why am I putting this into an account I can touch for decades? But here's what I didn't understand back then. Your 20s are the most powerful decade for investing, and it is not even close. Let me explain with some real numbers. The average annual return of the S&P 500 over the last 10 years is about 13%. Historically, it averages around 10%. That is the power of the stock market over long periods of time. Now, let's say you start investing $500 a month at age 22 into a low-cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500. By the time you are 60, assuming a 10% average annual return, you would have over $2.6 million. But if you wait until you are 35 to start investing that same $500 a month, you only have about $950K by 60. That is a difference of over $1.6 million just because you started 13 years earlier. That is the magic of compounding interest. Time is the single most powerful thing you have in your 20s, and you can never get it back. You cannot buy more time. You cannot pause time. You can only use it while you have it. And here's another thing people miss. If your company offers a 401k match, that is free money. Let me say that again. Free money if your company matches 5% of your salary and you are not contributing at least 5% to get that full match. You are literally turning down a raise. It is like your boss saying, hey, I'll give you an extra $3,000 this year if you just fill out this form. and you are like, nah, I am good. That is crazy. Don't T do that, max out that match. Immediately, I have been investing in my retirement accounts for about 4 years now. I max out my 401k every year. The 2025 contribution limit is $23,500. I know that sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but I worked my way up to that. I didn't start maxing it out right away. I started small with maybe $200 a month, and then I increased my contributions every time I got a raise. That is the key. You don't have to be perfect on day one. You just have to start. And when you start, you will be amazed at how fast it adds up. Ivy watched my 401k balance go from 10,000 to 50,000 to 100,000 to now over 200,000. And every time I check that balance, I get hyped. It is like watching a video game score go up. And the best part is I barely even think about it. It is automated. It comes out of my paycheck before I even see it. That is the move. Set it and forget it. And if your company doesn't offer a 401k, open a Roth IRA. The contribution limit for 2025 is $7,000. That is about $583 a month. If you can do that much, start with $100 a month. Start with $50 a month. Just start. The habit is more important than the amount in the beginning. You can always increase later. Now, I know investing sounds boring. It sounds less exciting than buying a new car or going on a vacation or upgrading your wardrobe, but here's the truth that no one tells you. The future version of you is going to care a lot more about having financial freedom than about the pair of sneakers you bought when you were 25. When you are 60 years old, you are not going to look back and say, man, I wish I impressed more people in my 20s. You are going to be grateful that you built something for yourself. So please don't neglect your retirement accounts. It is the most powerful thing you can do with your money at this age. All right, priority. Number 3. This one might be a little controversial, but I think it is just as important as the first two. You need to work as hard as you can to increase your income. And specifically, I am talking about getting to a 6-figure salary or finding a way to bring in $100,000 or more in a calendar year. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, and depending on where you live and what you studied, it might feel impossible. But let me tell you something, your income matters more than almost anything else when it comes to building wealth. There is only so much money you can save by cutting expenses. You can only cut your Starbucks runs and you're eating out so much. At some point, you hit a floor. You can cut your rent to zero. You can cut your food to zero. The real way to build wealth is to increase the size of the pie, not just take smaller slices. When I was 22, I was making about $40,000 a year. I was broke. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had credit card debt. I felt stuck. And then I realized that no amount of budgeting was going to fix my situation if I was only bringing in $40K. I needed to earn more money, so I started working on my skills. I learned how to communicate better at work. I learned how to manage projects. I took on extra responsibilities. I job hopped a couple times, and over the course of about 4 years, I went from $40K to $60K to $80K to over $100K. And the crazy thing is my lifestyle didn't change that much. I still drive a used car, I still live in a modest apartment, I still cook most of my meals, but now the gap between what I earn and what I spend is way bigger, and that gap is where wealth is built. Here is the thing that a lot of people don't want to hear. Your 20s are the best time to grind. You have energy, you have time, you have flexibility. You don't have kids yet, or a mortgage, or a million responsibilities tying you down. This is the decade where you can work harder than you've ever worked, and it will pay off for the rest of your life. I am not saying you need to burn out and have no fun. But I am saying that if you are just coasting through your 20s, showing up, doing the bare minimum, going home and watching Netflix every night, you are wasting your biggest opportunity. Think about this. If you are 25 right now, you have about 15 years until your late 30s and early 40s. Those are typically the years where people have the most responsibilities. Kids, mortgage, aging parents. You are not going to want to take big career risks then. You are not going to want to start a side hustle when you have 3 kids and a mortgage. Do it now while you can, and if you picked a college degree that doesn't pay well, that doesn't mean you are stuck forever. I know so many people who studied something in college and then pivoted completely. I have a friend who studied art history and now works in tech sales making over $100K. I have another friend who studied journalism and now runs his own digital marketing agency. Your degree is not your destiny. You can learn high-income skills online for free or cheap sales, marketing, content creation, copywriting, project management, data analysis, AI tools. There are so many things you can learn on YouTube or Coursera or even just by doing. Nobody is going to hand you a high-paying job because you deserve it. You have to go get it. And here is a real talk moment. Some of you are going to watch this video and you are going to nod your head and agree with everything, and then you are going to go back to your same habits tomorrow. Don't be that person? The difference between people who change their financial life and people who stay stuck is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not who their parents are. It is action. It is doing the uncomfortable thing over and over again until it becomes normal. I remember when I first started taking money seriously, I was embarrassed about how little I knew. I thought everyone else had it figured out, but then I started reading, I started watching videos. I started talking to people who were where I wanted to be, and I realized that most people are just winging it. Most people in their 20s have no clue what they were doing with money. And the ones who do are the ones who actively chose to learn. So be one of those people. Listen, I know this was a long video, but I wanted to be thorough because I genuinely care about this topic. I see so many people in my generation struggling with money, and it breaks my heart because it doesn't have to be that way. The three priorities we talked about in emergency fund retirement contributions and increasing your income, these are not complicated. They not sexy. They don't make for good headlines, but they work. They have worked for me, and they will work for you too if you actually do them. Start with the emergency fund, get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up in a high-yield savings account, then start investing in your retirement accounts, even if it is just a small amount. And then spend your energy on increasing your income, job hop, learn skills, start a side hustle. Work weekends if you have to. Your 20s are the time to grind so that your 30s and 40s can be the time to relax. I want to leave you with this. The best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is today. So open that high-yield savings account, set up that 401k contribution, update your resume, do something today that your future self will thank you for. I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. We just passed 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and that absolutely blows my mind. I started this channel because I wanted to share what I learned with people who are in the same position I was in a few years ago. And the fact that you guys are watching and supporting means the world to me. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe because I have a lot more content coming. Leave a comment down below and let me know which of these three priorities you are working on right now. Are you building your emergency fund? Are you investing? Are you grinding to increase your income? Or are you doing all three like a champ? I read every comment and I want to hear from you guys. As always, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.